And welcome back, YouTube. It is Thursday, March 2nd, 10:28 a.m., 2023, and I'm awake. Take the recycling out of my car, and I have a box of recycling, and I kind of collect it at home. I'm going to drop off at my storage, and we'll drop the car off at Rob's shop. See if we can figure out why the hell this thing is periodically stalling out, and get my damn check engine light to turn off so I can get this thing through emissions. I had the feeling I was supposed to get that done before the end of February. I don't know. I'm sure it was something that was mailed to me, and of course I never get my mail. Wow, look at all this crap on the left side of the road. Dang. That's ridiculous. I can't believe the city nor the park rangers are doing anything to clean that up. They're just letting those homeless people collect all that crap into the park there and on the edge of the street. It's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I went home. I'm on a 3-day weekend right now. I mean, this is supposed to be my usual. That's actually supposed to be my usual schedule: 4 days of work, 3 days off. But since I quit at Bullocks, I've just been taking advantage of the fact that I can work 5 days a week. I've been working 5 days a week most weeks, or actually 6 days a week. Some weeks 5 days, some days 6 weeks. But I've been trying to work just literally as much as possible, and trying to shrink my debt. I'm making progress at it. That feels good. But yeah, this is the first weekend I haven't been able to pick up any voluntary extra time, overtime shifts at all. Now, I did notice last night, in the last week or so, the volume of business at my Amazon warehouse has slowed down dramatically. But I did notice last night it picked up quite a bit, noticeably quite a bit. So just maybe they'll be dishing out some overtime shifts throughout the course of the weekend for this weekend. It's possible. That sort of thing has happened before. Now, I was kind of looking through the A to Z app. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but I was looking through it trying to, wow, that guy is not staying in his lane very well. And my lane is ending. I was looking through it just to see if there was any available extra shifts, and I just didn't get the push through messages or didn't notice them or whatever, and I didn't see any, but I did see shifts that were full. Now, some of them were designated specifically as flex shifts. Those are the part-time employees that get to come and pick their schedule. So those ones are reserved for the flex people, but not for me. That's fine. I'm used to that. I also noticed quite a few that said that they weren't available for me, that I needed training. Now, some of them were designated as problem solved, and that's one of the things I've never been, for all the stuff I'm cross-trained on at Amazon, that's one thing I've never learned. I do seem to have a better concept of what those people do than most people do, but I've never actually done the job. I'm not familiar with all the different programs and stuff that they use on their mobile laptop workstations. But it seemed like some of those shifts are shifts that should have been available to me. They just weren't. So I don't know. At some point, I need to try to make some time to talk to HR about it. Also, two of the different shift rotations for night shift, they've increased the shift differential on it. And by shift differential, what I mean is basically I have my base rate of what I'm paid per hour. But because I work night shift versus day shift, I get paid an additional 85 cents an hour. That's my shift differential. As long as I've worked there, it's just been that way for anybody who works full-time night shift, or anybody who's specifically on a part-time night shift schedule. And I know one of the ones that we have is for, in fact, one of the ones that they increased the differential on is a part-time one, where it's just people who work only Friday and Saturday night. Anyway, I forget exactly what they were. I think one of them is the people that what's generally referred to as back half, which are the people that work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And then there's another schedule. I want to say it's probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. I think that's how it was explained to me. Anyway, the shift differential went up quite a bit on those to where I think it's, I forget how much it is, but I think it's 50 cents an hour more than I'm already making, which, you know, whatever, I'll take it. It's more money, I'll take it. It's not like I have anything going on in my life right now really beyond, ooh, wow. The Portofino Apartments right there is the third window on the left. I don't know if my video caught it, but you can tell there was a fire in there. It's like burned marks coming out the window, ruining that otherwise pretty mural. Anyway, so I want to say it was, I'm not sure if it was Friday night or Saturday night, because I worked extra shifts. Oh, I'm not doing this right. I don't come here as much as I used to. It used to be I just reach out the window and muscle memory right into the gate code. I had to think about it today. I can't remember if it was Friday night or Saturday night. Chris, the back half AM for Outbound MP, was doing the stand-up and was talking about, and the way he initially explained it, it sounded like you were going to get a higher shift differential for working Saturday or Sunday nights. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, I'm regularly scheduled to work Sundays, and I almost always work. I'm regularly scheduled Sunday. Pretty much always work Sunday, and then quite often I'm working Saturday night. So, yay, more money for me. And then the next day, so I think that was Friday, and then I think he was talking about it on Saturday at stand-up, or maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was the first stand-up on Saturday and more about it on the second one. I think it was trying to clarify that no, it's not when you work those shifts, you need to be on that scheduled shift rotation, which I'm not. Like, I'm there so it's kind of funny, like I'm there so often on, you know, the last couple of months, probably 3 months now, on Friday and Saturday night, doing overtime shifts, that it feels like that's felt like it's part of my crew. Like I've become such an integral part of that shift, even though that's not my shift. That's just supposed to be my days off. Anyway, I eventually got it explained to me that yeah, I would not be getting the extra shift differential. I'm still, regardless of what I've actually been working, which is like pretty much all the damn time, that my scheduled shift, bringing out the recycling, my scheduled shift is still front half, which doesn't get the increased differential. Anyway, I went to HR to try to get some clarification of it, and it was explained to me a lot better by HR, and then he gave me like the codes that are used for it, which when I go into my employee profile in the Amazon A to Z app, like that's the information that I see. Like what my shift is. So he gave me the codes to look for, but then when I went into the thing, like there's a thing that you click there in the app to to request to be put on a different shift schedule, shift change, whatever, and those shorthand codes were not included in that page. So he told me what codes to look for, but then when I get to the app to change it, those codes were not visible. And then what was even more confusing is there was stuff like, I think it said something like RC sort or vendor receive or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And I've been trying to find the time to get back to HR and ask them. It's like, hey, which one of these do I click for those two where I get the higher differential? And of course it doesn't show the differential on that page. So, but trying to get myself an additional raise via that. Anyway, I need to empty the crap out of my car. I'll be right back. And I'm back. It is 10:40 a.m. now. Yeah, it didn't take too long. Just wanted to get all the recycling off the floor of the car and into a bag, into the storage unit. Today would actually be a pretty good day to work on crushing and sorting my recycling, but yeah, it's it's already later in the kind of later in the day for getting the car to Rob. One thing I've found with him is that earlier in the morning I get my car there, the more time he has to work on it, because once he gets started on something, he'll focus on stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'll get to those other things when I get to it, and then he doesn't get to it. Ooh, I thought it was going to stall out again. Oh man, it probably stalled out about 5 times this morning between starting the car in the Amazon parking lot and actually getting up to highway speed on I-10. Mostly where it was stalling out on me, which was really frustrating, was I got on the freeway right there at 75th Avenue, and that's a metered on ramp, so there was enough traffic that I had to wait for a while to get through the meter there, and so I'm kind of sitting, and it just kept stalling out. I have to put it in park and start it again, and then right as the meter turned green and I went to go, I rolled forward and it stalled out again. Put it in park. I'm sure the vehicles behind me were getting pretty irritated, but it kind of is what it is. See, it's the only issue I'm having with this car. Other than that, the car's just been running really, really good. So I don't know if I can get that figured out today. Wow, my camera is crazy crooked right now. Look at that. Oh, let's fix that. All right, the world looks a little more. Yeah, it's a little more straight out that. So yeah, I'm sure you all have noticed by now my videos have been really shaky, like way worse than normal. Even sometimes when I'm carrying the phone and holding it, or I'm sitting at a dead stop. And I've mentioned a few times, it's a problem with the camera. I don't know exactly what caused the problem. It has something to do with the way the iPhone camera autofocuses. This era of iPhone, eventually something messes up in it, and it does what it's doing now. I'm sure the fact that it's riding around in this rough car, this holder hasn't been helpful with that situation. But hopefully I can get that resolved soon. Probably not throughout this weekend, but I'm hoping to make some progress on that next week. It's been quite a while since I've mentioned my Obama phone, because there hasn't really been much to mention. Smashed it at the Smashing Pumpkins concert, but it was still usable after that. I mean, it kind of sucked, but it was still usable. I was having reception issues after that. The screen was pretty smashed up, but it was still usable. I still shot video with it. It still shot pretty decent quality video after that. But roughly about a month ago, I was getting off my forklift at work, grabbed my 2 phones. There's a little holder in the dashboard of the forklift. I'm not sure really what that holder is supposed to be for, but it's just absolutely the perfect size for me to have both of my phones facing screen down, laying flat. So that's generally where I keep them when I'm working and I'm in the forklift. That's the longest I think I've ever got a red light right here. This is weird. Washington Street hold lot. This thing on the right, I've mentioned it before. It's the ride share holding lot for all the people that drive ride share apps waiting to get sent in to pick up passengers at the airport. Used to be a transit center, but yeah, Phoenix doesn't really care much about people who use transit. So yeah, now we got one less transit center, and it's something dedicated towards a business model that is really taking advantage of people. But anyway, that was what I was going to talk about. I just noticed that there's actually signs up that say hold lot. This light freaks me out. How the stop line and the crosswalk is clear back here, but the intersection is clear up there. It seems like they should move the traffic light further back. This doesn't seem like where I should stop, even though it is. So I've noticed some of the urbanism videos that I like to watch, and some of the anti-car type stuff. And it's not like I'm anti-car, but oh wow, that white van just did an interesting maneuver there on the right. But I certainly would like streets to be safer for pedestrians than they are. I know so many pedestrians die on Phoenix streets and get hit by vehicles on Phoenix streets every day. And something I've noticed in a lot of European countries is that the traffic signals, like the one I just went through there, instead of being at the opposite side of the intersection, like here's another example right here, it's across the street at the opposite side of the intersection. The traffic poles are as you enter the intersection, which basically forces people to stop behind the crosswalk, because American drivers love to block the crosswalk when they stop at traffic lights, which was just sheer hell for me when I wasn't driving. I mean, I have so many times. You go back to my vlogs of the day, and I'll be walking, carrying my phone, and be like, "You're blocking the crosswalk. You're blocking the crosswalk." And yeah, that's what American drivers do. And I couldn't say which European countries off the top of my head, but I guess there's several European countries that have made this their standard. They put the traffic light poles as you enter the intersection. That way, in order to see the traffic signal, you actually have to be behind, further back, behind the crosswalk. And yeah, if you've entered the intersection, you just need to go, because once you're in the intersection, you can't see the traffic light. Seems awkward, but I get the concept behind it, and I wonder if maybe that would help with the constant American pedestrian fatalities caused by motor vehicles. So I'm just about to rob shop. This is such a quick drive. I kind of want to talk about more of the stuff I've been talking about in this week's vlogs that I just keep not getting to, like the crazy hot chick that I picked up at the Circle K downtown Phoenix last week. Hopefully get around to talking about that, but I don't have time for that. As well as like how much different work has been for me this last week. I've kind of become the pallet receive guy. And to be fair, I took that on. I voluntarily took that on. The way pallet receive is being done now is radically different than the way it was done a week ago. And the way it's been done as long as I've been there, up until a week ago. Although there's things that when I've been doing it, I've always kind of tried to do differently. And now, no, actually it's the oversized truck on the left there. Wow, that's oversized too, damn. Now the way it's done is, the way they're forcing everybody to do it is kind of similar to how I was trying to do it differently in the past. So almost like I get a little "I told you so" on this. Wow, it doesn't look like Rob is here. I'm loving that little Benz there on the right. It's another C240, really similar to mine, but not all trash. It does not look like Rob is here yet for the day, so Probably should have called before heading over. Anyway, I do want to talk about all that stuff, but that's going to have to wait until later because I'm here. I need to get off this and give Rob a call, figure out where the hell he's at. And welcome back, YouTube. It is still Thursday morning, 10:55 a.m. Oh, look at that. That is badass. I have no idea exactly what it is, but that is freaking cool. Hey, what year Insight is that?
I'm sorry?
What year Insight is that?
2002.
2002. You never see those anymore.
Not very often.
I really wanted one of those when they came out. What kind of mileage you get on it?
60.1 for this.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's incredible. It would do better if I need to redo the bottom underbody part for the aerodynamics.
Sure.
And then replace the mirror that somebody knocked off with a side swipe.
Oh, ouch. I didn't realize that was different.
Yeah, that's right. And there are some people who get 67 and into the 70s.
Yeah, no, I've seen YouTube videos where people have done tricks to it.
Yeah,
And some of it has to do with how you drive it.
it does. I drive very late. But also I have the 3 Geo Metros.
Oh, nice.
So those were actually the most reliable car I've ever owned.
Wow.
I can't believe it. I got 54 miles per gallon.
Inside the little automotive house down the street, I've got inside the shop. I've got 2 Honda CRXs.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah, I've got a 91 and an 86. The 86 I never really drove. I just bought it and it's just been sitting in the house. Someday it'll get restored.
I understand.
But the 91 was my daily driver for years.
Wow.
And that thing is wicked fast.
Great cars.
But if I drive it like I'm caring about gas mileage,
Right.
I get about 40 to the gallon, I think.
That's incredible. That's
So-
because that's like a real car. You know, like
Yeah.
ours.
Oh yeah, no, five speed, super light, like real similar to what you have as far as like the low, and I got the same. It's got the same window.
Exactly.
That's where that window came from.
Yeah,
Was
that's
the
what I
CRX.
figured.
You
Yeah.
know, but
I
yeah,
wonder-
when these first came out, that's kind of what it's like. Oh my God, it's kind of like a CRX but a hybrid. And,
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. I don't know wherever this engine dies. I'm tempted to just put like a Geo Metro engine in it.
Oh,
and
really?
get rid- Yeah, I'm tempted because the lightweight, I could probably still get almost 60 miles per gallon and not have to worry about a battery. I don't know. Or a motorcycle engine. I keep like, it's mostly just about the weight.
Yeah, no, you know, and that's the problem with like all the electrics and the hybrids now. Now they've got so many safety requirements that make the vehicle heavier.
Right.
You know, they just can't make anything like this anymore. You know, and everyone's like, oh, we're going to be greener, and I think the green car peaked right there.
That was it.
That was it. That was where it was.
Between that and the Geo Metro.
Yeah.
I'm a real Geo Metro fan.
I know, I feel you on that. I remember reading an article, I want to say probably 16, 17 years, when I was driving the CRX all the time. There's an article in Wired magazine, and that's when the automotive industry was really pushing all the hybrid cars.
Yeah.
Oh, get yourself a new hybrid car. You want to be green and care about your car. And they were talking about the actual carbon footprint of what goes into making a new car, which nobody wants to talk about that. And then what goes into mining a battery for a hybrid car. Definitely nobody wants to talk about that.
I don't know whether we're ever going to survive all the, not the lies.
But anyway, the conclusion it came to is that if you really cared about your carbon footprint and you didn't want to, if you really cared about the environment and you wanted minimal amount as far as what you pay and what your energy consumption and everything, that's where it went, was Geo Metro, Honda CRX HF, and it was just going to all these late 80s, early 90s economy cars that had the small Ford Festiva, you know, the ones they made back then that were super lightweight cars, really high mileage. And it's like those things have long since, and things have changed since then. But I mean, these were ones that you could still buy parts for.
Right.
They were mentioning that these particular ones,
the companies that made them still exist. They still support them. You can still get the parts for them. You can still service these cars. They're inexpensive to service. Late 80s Civic. Any late 80s Civic. You know.
Yeah, this is now, I have to be constantly alerted. I've signed up to all the auto parts recycling yards. So when there's a salvage one, I get to go and pick the pieces. Eventually it'll be beautiful. I'm sanding a little bit every day.
That's kind of how I was until the last time I wrecked my red CRX, my 91. Now it just sits there waiting for me to have more spare money, I guess.
I understand. Well, and if you do, buy that.
Oh God, that thing's gorgeous, isn't it?
Isn't that beautiful?
I don't even know what the hell that is, but I like it.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you.
Well, it's nice meeting you. I'm Dan, by the way. Nice
My
meeting
name
you.
is John.
Loving the insight. I haven't seen one of those in ages, and I love
appreciate the good
those.
vibes.
Take care, man. Wow, I was totally going to double back just to get that car on my video. I didn't expect to chat with the owner. That was awesome. Yeah, I've mentioned in the past, like, certain cars that are sort of my dream cars, and that's one of them. I think he said it was a 2002, but first generation Honda Insight, like 2000, 2001, 2002. I'm not sure what the last year was that they quit making it, but I believe it's the most fuel efficient. Obviously, you know, not a whole other animal talking about cars, but as far as runs on gas, hybrid type car, most fuel efficient commercial production car ever. Yeah, someday I'd like to get one, but kind of interesting talking to him. How he's, you know, he says that one's a work in progress. He's got alerts, you know, for when a wrecked one is available to pick over parts. So obviously it's becoming, those have faded enough into the past, and they were never that popular of a car to begin with. So yeah, if I ever get myself one, I'll be right with him competing for parts to fix it up. But he's got a hell of a cool work in progress. And someday I'm going to complete my CRXs. Still hanging on to them, still waiting for that day. I did actually talk to Rob about starting work on them sometime soon. I'm still not sure how much I owe him for the Saturn right now, but yeah, I'm getting close to having him paid off for everything he's done on the Saturn, and at that part, I think we're gonna start trying to get the silver CRX roadworthy, since it's a lot closer to being drivable than the red one is. And I think that one's it's an 86 or an 87. Yeah, it's been sitting in Rob's shop for many years. There it goes with that Insight. It's so badass. Yeah, I forget exactly how much he said he was getting mileage on that, but it was definitely over 70. With what gas costs today, the thought of a car that gets over 70 miles to the gallon is very extremely appealing to me, especially considering that the overall styling of that car is very, very similar to the Honda CRX. But someday, maybe. In the meantime, I'm walking. but yeah, daily driver, still the 2006 Saturn Ion. As my main focus these days is just trying to get down, trying to eliminate all my debt. It just trips me out when I see somebody with a gas-powered forklift like that. So I actually stumbled across a YouTube channel about forklift driving. Kind of love how there's a little something for everybody on YouTube. And I don't think I've given this channel a shout out. I gotta definitely do that. Forklift Joe. Not entirely sure who the hell he works for, but he's got a bunch of videos about being a forklift operator. Most of them he's driving one kind of similar to that one, which is sit down with a bunch of levers. I've never sat in one of those. I've only seen them occasionally, like just now, at a distance. Maybe someday, maybe someday I'll get to drive one of those around, and it'll be an adventure. And I certainly feel more prepared for it now, having watched several of Forklift Joe's videos. He does have some where he shows him operating a Raymond electric forklift that's very extremely similar to the ones that I operate at Amazon, and is the actual model that I've got on my vlog several times when I go by driver training sometimes. It's the one that I've caught on video when I've gone by Costco. One thing I've definitely noticed when I roll by Costco in the morning and they haven't yet opened the warehouse, but they've got the back door open and I can see their forklift operators working in the back of the Costco warehouse, is that, and I've mentioned this before, they've got really high shelves and pallets stacked really high. That's something, it never really, excuse me, you know, and all the time I've been operating a forklift for Amazon, it never really occurred to me until kind of more recently how unusual it is that my forks never go any higher than what is needed to downstack, to stack or downstack 2 pallets coming out of or going into a trailer. Absolutely no pallets in GYR3 are kept up on shelves. I was going to say absolutely none in Amazon or none in my warehouse, but then a voice in the back of my head was like, yeah, KRB3 fool. They use completely different types of lifts at KRB3. It's in the same building, but it's a completely separate facility. And they do have very high shelves and these lifts that go insanely high. And I've watched some of the guys that operate those. I don't think I would ever be down. I don't think I'd ever be down to operate one of those. Just because the operator of those actually goes up with the forks. And they're strapped in the machine with these things they call sky hooks. And it's kind of the bus that I wanted, but whatever. I'm in the mood to keep walking. It's nice out today. A little chilly, I want to say it's like in the upper 50s. But there's no wind and there's no rain. Anyway, yeah, I don't do so well with heights. I don't know if I want to say I'm like afraid of heights. Sometimes it feels like I'm afraid of heights. Sometimes I do a little bit. But generally speaking, I'm not a fan of having myself raised up high. So, yeah, I think I would have all kinds of anxiety operating one of those kind of lifts. Now, operating a forklift where I can run my forks up high onto shelves, I think I could get used to that, but it's certainly something that I don't do as a regular forklift operator for GYR3. all our pallets are stored on the floor, all of them. So yeah, this is something I definitely noticed in Forklift Joe's videos, where he's like, he had one where he's actually loading a truck for Amazon, which is funny because he's talking about loading an Amazon truck. And to be fair, the trailer was a blue trailer that, you know, had the Amazon Prime logo on the side. So it was an Amazon truck. It was an actual Amazon truck, and it was a, Amazon, there's so many different branches of Amazon. And one of them is Amazon Freight. So yeah, whoever is moving that product, presumably the warehouse he works for, he didn't really go into much detail, and he probably doesn't even really know. But even though that was definitely an Amazon truck, like it wasn't being loaded. He does not work at an Amazon warehouse, obviously. Like the inside of his, the outside of his warehouse, or the inside of his warehouse could not be more different than ours. Oh wow, look at this. They've closed off this entrance to Yellow Cab and put little plastic pylons here. This building used to kind of feel like home many, many years ago. Keep an eye on cars coming out of parking lots. And Phoenix cars have a bad habit of pulling out of parking lots and just looking at the traffic on the street before they pull out and paying zero attention to people on the sidewalk. I've actually been hit. I've been hit once walking on the sidewalk from somebody pulling out of a driveway like that, and I've had more near misses than I can count. So super alert whenever I'm in that situation. So anyway, yeah, Forklift Joe was using like a sit-down forklift to load a truck that was going to Amazon. And I was watching it, I'm thinking, yeah, that's totally not being loaded to Amazon standards for loading freight, which of course I have to adhere to when I'm loading trucks. I do occasionally take some interesting liberties with stuff, but for the most part, Amazon has some very, very specific policies that are higher than that generally of the warehouse industry. So, but really interesting watching him as he's driving around this huge warehouse, and he's pretty much all by himself, pulling pallets from all over the place, many of which are stacked on top of each other, really high, like really, really high towers on top of each other. I mean, we never stack anything more than too high at the Amazon warehouse I work at, and they literally only get stacked as they're going into the truck. We're in the work zone right out in front of the truck. Everything gets brought to that work zone one at a time, single level, and then as soon as they get stacked, if it's UPP pallets, the plastic pallets, those kind of have interlocking feet and they just go in. Any other kind of pallets are supposed to be bound together tightly with shrink wrap. Now I've noticed some of the other drivers find them quite a thing and overdo it quite the way I do, but I don't know. Nobody really taught me how to do it. I just sort of taught myself, and that was when Alex was my AM, and I'm like, am I overdoing it? And she's like, no, that's good. She's like, you are kind of overdoing it, but I like that. That's great. Don't stop. So, and maybe I take a little longer doing it than some of the other drivers, but I'm absolutely confident. Oh, he's getting out of the crosswalk. How nice. I'm absolutely confident that the ones that I bind together are not coming apart in the truck, and when whatever Amazon driver unloads them at the various Amazon warehouses that they get sent to, that even if that driver is a new inexperienced driver and bumps the side of the inside of the trailer as he's taking the pallets out, they're not going to come apart. So now, one thing for certain that they're going to have to deal with, the only time I'm when I worked in inbound at Amazon, and I would unload trucks, and these trucks came mostly not from Amazon. They're all coming from third-party vendors, which would be basically like the truck that Forklift Joe was loading. Yeah, some of them not bound together at all, some of them very poorly bound together, and when you get accustomed to unloading like those, you'll look and you'll be careful taking them out, and then then when I go to downstack them, I don't do this as much as other drivers do. I usually pretty much always get out with my knife and just make sure that the plastic is cut and separated. But I noticed a lot of other drivers will get out and they'll just raise their forks, put it in the top pallet, and lift it up and just pull the plastic apart. Yeah, whoever's unloading the ones that I put together, that I ship out to the various fulfillment centers and distribution centers all over the United States, yeah, they're not pulling them apart like that. They're definitely having to get, after they bring that sack out of the truck, they're definitely going to be having to get out of their forklift and walk around it with a knife to cut those pallets apart before they can downstack them. And so, anyway, yeah, certainly an eye-opening thing for me, and just making me realize just how limited my experience has been as a forklift operator working for GR3 compared to what forklift life is like in other warehouses, in terms of how pallets are stored, how forklifts are operated, and also how much the forklifts that I use are limited in terms of what they do versus what they could do. Like, for instance, I think the one that I operate is capable of going 7 miles. I've heard 7 miles per hour. I've heard 5 miles per hour. But Amazon has them speed limited to 2.9 miles per hour. And it seems like at one time they used to only be speed limited to 3.1 miles per hour. I've slowed them down a tiny little bit since I've been doing it. But I've heard drivers talk about what the more experienced drivers talk about what it was like before they were slowed down, and talk about how if a manager logs into it versus just a regular T1 associate pit driver, that they go 5 miles per hour. So, oh wow, this is the first time I've come through this direction. See the work being done to expand the 143. See a new retaining wall going up, and it's making it wider. That's why the camera refuses to hold still. I still haven't downloaded that damn app called Curve that gives all the details on the timeline and everything of the construction of this construction project. Well, they've completely moved the off-ramp from where it was. Absolutely not an exit I ever use anymore. So now I'm in Tempe. When you walk underneath that freeway on University Drive, the west side of it is the city of Phoenix, and this side is the city of Tempe. And there's the sign. Tempe, Arizona State University. Which, I'm not entering Arizona State University. For some reason, Tempe now has that on their signs. That's a new sign. I've never noticed that one there before. Out home of Tempe is 1870. Many years ago, I used to have a girlfriend that worked as a waitress at Denny's. Kind of miss her. And unfortunately, her and I are not in contact at all anymore. Last I heard, she moved to Flagstaff. Now the Metro bus. So before I got distracted by ooh look, there's a thing that was a transit center that's now a rideshare waiting lot. I was talking about how what I'm doing with my phones. Because that's what I used to video this stupid ass blog. And oh, there's sea flight. I wonder if that's where my daughter was working when she was working as a phone operator for Safe Flight. She never really told me where exactly it was she worked. She did tell me she hated the job though. Haven't heard from her in a while. Sure hope she's okay. Meanwhile, Amazon Prime bans everywhere. There was one I just saw off to the left, and there's one here on the right. Well, the more I watch and learn about what's up with the Amazon bans and the independent contractors that operate them, the more I'm happy that I didn't get that gig that I was trying for about a year and a half ago. Because I think I'd have been pretty miserable with it. The bird scooter over there. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, this is the pretty much the only phone I have for recording and doing everything. My iPhone 7S Plus, and I've mentioned many times it's got issues with the home button. It has since the day I bought it. But now it's developed issues with the camera. I think I'm at the point where with this phone where it would be cheaper to replace it than to fix all the issues with it. Which is kind of a bummer because it's still a very, very functional phone. I really need to try to get my first Apple iPhone 6s Plus, get it going again. But anyway, I was talking about my Obama phone before I got distracted and sidetracked by the rideshare waiting lot by the airport there at 44th Street and Washington. And the yeah, so as I was mentioning then, I was getting off my forklift about a month ago, and picking up my iPhone and the Obama phone out of the little spot that I use to hold it when I'm on the forklift, and the Obama phone slipped out of my hand and hit the ground. And at first I'm thinking, well, whatever, no big deal. It's already busted to shit anyway. Yeah, it turns out it was a big deal. It landed on a corner and took the screen from busted up but functional to not functional at all. And I think I mentioned I've been using it as an alarm clock ever since. But yeah, I can't unlock the screen. So I still have Lifeline service on it. So I don't pay anything for Brittany's old phone number and that service. And they're regularly sending, emails and text messages reminding me that I need to use that phone, use some data on it, or send text messages on it, or make phone calls on it at least once during the course of a month, or they can, wow, it's a yellow cab that's not yellow. Or they'll cut the service off. In order to keep the service, you have to actually, you use it or you lose it, basically. And then I've been getting these emails also telling me that I'm eligible for a new upgraded phone, but while supplies last, I need to call and ask for it. Which I was kind of frustrated that it wasn't just something I could just click and go to a website, that I would actually have to make a phone call. But because it's been my experience with Assurance Wireless that their customer service is not available 24 hours a day. So generally speaking, I'm not able to make that phone call during times when I'm awake. So I've been kind of putting off that call. Well, yesterday I woke up before any of my alarms went off. Not too long before my alarms went off, maybe about a half hour before my first alarm. And decided I got yet another email reminding me I was eligible for a new phone, and it's like, ooh, they're still sending this email out. I was kind of worried that, maybe the whole while supplies last thing that might be too late and supplies were out already. Interesting piece of gear they got there. some kind of lift to get up on top of the cover for the gas station. Snorkel. Anyway, I get distracted by a lift called a snorkel. Now I forget what the hell I was talking about. Gas prices going up again, $3.79. Ouch. I definitely noticed when I topped off my gas tank a couple of days ago that it cost considerably more than the last time. Still not prohibitively expensive, and fortunately that's because I drive a very economical car, but not as economical as say an old Honda Insight would be, or even one of those CRXs would be. But the Saturn does get really good mileage. Still happy with it. Hopefully Rob can get to a shop today and figure out why it's stalling out and get that check engine light off so I can get it through emissions. Yeah, I'm probably in the registration grace period right now, but yeah, I need to get that handled before that turns into a big difficult situation. And I missed the light. 50 seconds. Oh, we got a call come in. I'll be right back. Well, that was weird. It was a 480 phone number, so a local phone number. I'm fairly sure the phone answered it, but nobody at the other end. I'm saying hello, 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 and I'm not hearing anybody. I half expect it's that stupid cruise company that ripped me off a few years back. They like to spoof local phone numbers. At any rate, I didn't call it back. Just whatever. Not so big on unsolicited phone calls anyway. So. I did notice one thing interesting that happened as I answered the phone, and it reminded me of my first iPhone 6s Plus when the camera went out, similar to how the camera's messing up on this phone. When I held it up to my ear, I could hear the camera fluttering, going like super, super loud. And that's the same thing same sound that my other camera was making when it was going bad. So definitely the same style camera, same style problem. So hopefully not too many more vlogs with this shit quality video. But yeah, I do believe the next device that I'm going to take care of that with is going to be the new Obama phone. I have no idea what they're sending me. The email was very vague. I didn't even bother asking the person that I talked to. She had a very strong, instead of a very strong Indian accent, she had a very strong Asian accent. So no idea where she was based. Probably the Philippines, but who knows. Wow, that's a badass car right there. Whew. Yeah. Super friendly, but it's just very hard to understand. Seem to be struggling to understand me, but she tried really hard. I do think I got through and handled what I needed to. She said that my new phone will be to my door in about 3 to 5 days, and that when I get it, that I need to call them back to transfer my service over from my busted ass phone. Which would be Obama phone number 3 for those who have been counting. Transfer my service from that phone to my new one. So I have no idea what model phone it's going to be, or I'm find out when I get it. I guess I can't complain about it. It's a free phone. It's free. That is my second favorite F word. Yeah. So, the email that they keep sending me describes the features of the phone, and I didn't read it too closely because the features sound impressive, but it's really easy to make the features of anything sound impressive if you're not paying very close attention by glossing over the specs that aren't impressive. And I'm sure a lot of the specs on this phone will be not impressive, but what definitely caught my eye as I was skimming through the email was some small print at the bottom of it that said, that basically said this might not actually be the phone you're getting. Like, while supplies last, you may have to substitute other phones, blah, blah, blah. So the reality is that you might get these features, but maybe not. You're going to get another phone, though. So I'm definitely getting another phone. It's going to be a free phone. One thing I can certainly count on is that the phone, one thing I can certainly count on is that the camera will work better than what's left of the camera in this iPhone 7 Plus. So I'm sure as soon as I start getting that phone, that's going to be the one I use for shooting video, which is going to slow me getting things uploaded, because I'm going to either have to learn how to either download a different video editing program for Android and learn how to use it, and I always struggle with that kind of learning curve, or go back to using the Microsoft OneCloud, or whatever the hell it's called, the Microsoft Cloud service that I've been using to bounce the files that I shoot on the new Obama phone over to this iPhone for me to edit it and post on YouTube. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I always do. Almost a pre-stride. I think I'm walking all the way to downtown Tempe, just because I'm not sure how much a day pass for a bus costs right now, and I definitely don't have exact change on me. And I figure probably my best bet is just to get to downtown Tempe, where I can use one of the vending machines that'll actually give me change, and probably just ride the light rail over to 44th Street, or maybe I'll ride it over to 50th Street station, where there actually is no 50th Street, and walk home from there, because it's really, really nice out today. I'm definitely feeling like, I don't know, I'm awake, I'm feeling like walking. When I got off work, I went home, and I was just absolutely exhausted, and it was about as quick as I got home. I just got undressed, crawled into bed, and passed the hell out. But I woke up at about 9:30 a.m., and I feel like I've slept. And granted, I've only had a couple hours sleep, so I definitely need to get more sleep. I don't think I need to get more sleep. I mean, I don't go back to work till Sunday night. All right, we got more bird scooters over there. Feeling like I need to go for a scooter ride. Just haven't done. Maybe I'll ride a scooter home. Oh, that's something I noticed. I've been talking about how spin scooters have expanded their coverage in Phoenix, and I did the community post showing the map of how they've expanded their coverage area. I do find it weird how they operate in my neighborhood, but not north of Thomas, only south of Thomas. Just kind of limiting. But what I didn't post, and I've been meaning to talk about it, but I just haven't gotten around to it, is part of me really wants to go to Rally's and get myself a Fry Lovers burger, because I really like those. But yeah, it's on the other side of the street. I'm not really that hungry. I'm not really hungry at all, to be honest. I just really like Rally's Fry Lover burgers, and this is the only Rally's near where I live. And it's not really that near where I live. So, oh God, what was I saying? Completely lost my train of thought again. Thinking about Fry Lover burgers. So yeah, I got the new Obama phone coming. It'll surely have a better camera than this. And who knows, maybe they'll solve enough of my problems that I can start using that one for my vlogging and go back to using this one primarily as a phone. Oh, there's more birds on the ground. It makes me sad seeing scooters on the ground like that, rental scooters. North Phoenix Fixer, price $380K, worth $585K. And it's all way out of my price range, so it just doesn't matter. Wow, Shell's over $4 a gallon. Man. I got 13 seconds to get across this street. I think I'm gonna take it. Wow, the guy turning right's actually yielding to me in the crosswalk. What a novel concept. No, I don't see a beg button, so hopefully this, I don't see a beg button here. That's what those buttons are called, beg buttons. Hopefully this walk signal will come on soon. For as much as Tempe likes to build himself as a walkable city and a bikeable city, Priest drive-through here is one of the most frightening stroads I've ever seen. Yeah. It does have bike lanes. I wouldn't feel safe on a bicycle in that bike lane. But yeah, 3 lanes in each direction and a double left turn lane. So at crosswalk I just walked across. I had to cross 8 lanes and plus 2 bike lanes. Now I've ridden in this bike lane. This one's not too terribly bad because traffic on University doesn't go nearly as fast. But here you see that van. That van is definitely straddling the line into the bike lane. Yeah, paint doesn't do anything to protect a bicycle from oversized trucks like that. Taco Bell right here. I always forget that Taco Bell's there. Check the time. It is 11:37. No wonder all these little lunch places are getting so busy. Got all the daytime. Oh, that guy's going the wrong direction. About had a head-on collision with the Kia trying to go into the drive-thru. That guy in his oversized pickup truck. We got another car kind of entering the bike lane. Somebody not maintaining their weeds. Tempe Dad's Food Store, LLC. That place looks very much out of business. I lived in this neighborhood over here for a very short period of time. Connected with a roommate, thought it was going to be a really good situation for me after I'd been kind of homeless and couch surfing with this woman that I was somewhat involved with, and yeah, we were a thing. I think we were a thing. Anyway, yeah, it just kind of got to the point where I realized I needed to get away from her. I felt like trying to stay with her was holding me back from getting myself stable. I ended up getting a roommate at an apartment that I'll be walking in front of very soon on this side of University Drive. And it seemed like an absolutely great situation until I came home and saw her shooting up heroin in the kitchen, and quickly decided that that was something I did not want to be living with. I ended up pretty much leaving all. I didn't have a lot of stuff there, but everything I had there, I pretty much just left there and never came back for it. Which is sad, because I actually picked up a secondhand Bang & Olufsen stereo system, which probably never owned another one of those. I'd also managed to pick up another CED player, and it was not an RCA. It was, I want to say, a Toshiba. And the other thing I'd managed to pick up during that time period, oh yeah, I'm practically homeless and I'm still collecting audio, video, media, and gear. That's just what I do. I'd also managed to score Night of the Comet on CED. Now granted, I have Night of the Comet now on Blu-ray, so watching the movie's not a problem, but I would really, really like to have Night of the Comet on CED. It's very rare on CD. So I just saw a scooter riding on the sidewalk. That's illegal in the city of Tempe. There's the Tempe City ordinance. If you're riding a scooter, you need, or a bicycle, and there's a bike lane available, you need to use it. But I can't say I blame the guy that just rolled by me on the spin rental scooter for wanting to, for feeling safer passing me on the sidewalk than being down there and hoping that little white line of paint will protect him from all the cars and oversized trucks flying by on University Drive. I remember when they built those apartments right there on the right, or those condos, I should say. I still think they're hideous there. I don't like that style more. That's the Tempe I grew up in. I didn't grow up in Tempe, but you know what I'm saying, growing up in Phoenix. Coming to Tempe. My dad used to have a house in Tempe that he rented. I used to regularly ride with him out here to when he'd be doing work on it. So I do remember sometimes coming into Tempe on University Drive, and I do remember rolling by those apartments right there when I was a kid. It's kind of funny how some things change so radically, like those buildings, and other things just don't look much different than they did in the 1970s, like that corner. Not quite to the apartment where I found out my roommate was a heroin junkie. That was so disappointing because I was really starting to get my life together at that point in time. I had partial custody of my daughter Allison, who I want to say was. She's probably 3 years old at the time. She's like 2 or 3 years old. After all the drama I'd gone through with her mom, I was actually finally getting her then. And I finally felt like, wow, I got a stable, suitable place for us. And I got an apartment with a roommate who was an older woman and seemed to be sane, and it seemed like we had a pretty straightforward, like platonic roommate type relationship, and I would have never guessed her as somebody that would be doing any kind of hard drugs. So yeah, coming in and seeing her shooting up heroin in the kitchen kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah, I'd actually got a job. I was back to working full time as a dispatcher and phone operator for Yellow Cab. And I'd been back to work at Yellow Cab for all of maybe 2 weeks. And when I got out of the department, I was back to not having a place stable enough to be able to get to that job at Yellow Cab. The Yellow Cab headquarters I just walked by a little bit ago. I was no longer able to get there, and ended up just having to quit that job. I'm not even sure if I properly quit or if I just never managed to make it there. Life was pretty difficult back then. I'm trying to think what year that was. Probably about, I don't know, probably about 2004-ish. I find it interesting when I see large empty lots. I forget exactly what used to be here. I feel like it was some dumpy houses. But we had a big empty space waiting for a developer to put something expensive there. For some reason they haven't knocked down that structure, which appears to be on the same property. It's like somebody's living in that tiny little house over there. Those apartments in the background with the green doors, that's the complex that I was in. The roommate that I came home to find shooting up heroin. I love all these little old houses. And nice part of Tempe, and then we got this thing. The yard's let me paint a while. The truck was ridiculously too high. Oh no, I take it back. That is not the complex that I was living at. The one with the green doors. Hardy Drive right now. O'Reilly Auto Parts, formerly Checker Auto Parts. So Hardy Drive, that puts me 3/4 of a mile west of Mill Avenue. Oh, more Bird scooters over there at the Circle K. Wow, even Arco is $3.75 a gallon. Damn. Yeah, gas prices definitely jumping up again. Being that I buy pretty much all my gas now with my discount at Costco, I tend not to really pay attention to what the fuel prices are because I know I'm getting the best price available. But wow, $3.83 a gallon. Damn, at AM PM. That tends to be the cheapest. This asshole blocking the sidewalk. Thank you, Mr. California driver, for blocking the sidewalk. That's supposed to be a really good sandwich shop right there, Chiba Hut. I've never ate there, but I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. Bird Talk, now open. Apparently there's a new chicken place over there. Yeah, I had a couple of food truck burritos when I left Amazon, and I think I had a bologna sandwich once I got home too. So, oh no, I didn't have a sandwich when I got home. When I got home, yeah, I think I just ate a couple cookies. Got these mocha chocolate cookies, the Private Selects Kroger store brand, out of the clearance section over at Fry's a few days ago, and they're quite good. I like these little townhouses here. I always thought these were kind of neat. Those apartments at the opposite end of this, where the green is over there. That's where I had the roommate who didn't inform me she liked doing heroin before I moved in with her. In fact, I feel like I talked with her about, drugs and alcohol and everything, and she's like, oh yeah, I don't do anything. All right, look, another developer working on something here. Sonora West Developments, Inc., multifamily division. I can't remember what used to be on this piece of property here. I think it was just some little old houses. Mailbox looks familiar. I think it was a little old house here too. Although this definitely seems to be a different piece of property the developer's waiting for. And here you can see the fence has been hit by cars numerous times, which doesn't make me feel very safe while walking down this sidewalk. Another Bird scooter on the ground. I used to always stand up scooters and park them nicely when I saw them, but that particular kickstand is very difficult to operate. So it's just going to stay on the ground. Axio Apartments. That definitely used to be called something different, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, wait. Oh, I remember what it was. Yeah, that was my address. 740 West University. Axio Apartments. This was Tanglewood Apartments, which had the nickname Tangle Weird Apartments. And when I moved in here, I quickly learned why they called it Tangle Weird. So yeah, those other green ones I was pointing the camera at, yeah, those weren't them either. This was them. And I think they were like beige and greens, and then I've gone dark gray with the red doors to look a little more appealing and modern. Yeah. You can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. And this is still most definitely Tangle Weird. except for the trucks have gotten bigger and uglier. That's crap. Why do trucks need to have hoods this high? Look at that. That comes up to is like even with the top of the hood of that truck is even with my chest. Who thinks that's safe? Who thinks that's a good idea? So my apartment was in that building. I want to say it was the upstairs one, the last door on the right, although it might have been the next to last door on the right. I'm pretty sure it was the last door on the right. I remember it was upstairs on that there, building 5. I remember looking out over the pool. Pool's looking a lot nicer than it did when I lived here. Yeah, pool's looking a lot nicer. The building, not so much. They just painted it and painted the doors. Put more modern looking apartment number signs up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that one there, 122. I think that was my bedroom window right there, if memory serves. Yeah, it was a 2-bedroom place. I had my own bedroom. I thought it was the perfect roommate situation. So I came home and saw her putting a needle in her arm. It's just something I can't, something I was not down to live around, especially since I was fighting for the custody of my 3-year-old daughter. Whoa, that mud is slippery, and I'm at 10% battery, so not gonna be able to shoot too much more video. Those were the green apartments I saw off in the distance. Yeah, I've never lived in those. The back entrance of the apartments formerly known as Tanglewood, formerly colloquially known as Tangleweird. And yeah, I had some very weird neighbors when I was in there. I always find this kind of stuff interesting. Just remnants of the old canal system, and this is clearly not in use whatsoever anymore, unlike the canal system in the neighborhood where I live now. But it's kind of neat. There's still some of the old fixtures there. Apartments on the right here. There's no access from the side street on. And I think I'm on, pretty sure I'm on 6th Street right now. Yeah, I got a big wall that separates that apartment complex on the right from 6th Street. Meanwhile, these apartments on the left, these ones look pretty nice. As long as I can remember, this complex on the left has always been maintained very nicely. I can only imagine what those rent for now. I would imagine probably $1,400 a month, maybe more. I always say in real estate, the 3 most important things are location, location, and location. And as much as the apartments formerly known as Tangleweird still look pretty dumpy, I'm sure they're expensive, because this is very much one of the most prime locations. It doesn't really look like it as I'm walking through the neighborhood, but this is very much one of the most prime locations in the entire Phoenix area. But it's kind of funny how it's like kind of changing organically over time. As this little piece of street gets narrower from a time when it was a little country road on the outside edge of town, and whoever owns the property there is still hanging on to their easement the city hadn't picked up yet. That's how you get these little half-width streets from old property lines, and I'm sure at some point the city will pick that up when that property there changes hands. And clearly we got another empty lot here that some developers are getting ready to put some expensive condos on. As I approach Roosevelt Street, a 700 block in. I'm pretty sure I'm on 6th Street. Nope, I'm on 7th Street. My bad. These are new New condos here. Which way shall I go? I think I'll go this way. Give you all some interesting video to watch that looks like shit because my camera's all whack. I'm pretty sure these aren't rental units here. Although I'm sure some of them are owned and rented, and I would imagine quite a few of them are also on Vrbo and Airbnb as well. Yeah, none of this stuff existed when I first moved to Tempe. This is all stuff that was built later. My guy didn't even slow down turning into that driveway. This is the Tempe I remember though. I mean the sign 304 Roosevelt Place is new, but building, that's old school Tempe there. I just like that better. Although these look nice, I can't really complain. Other than, so part of me's like, I'd never be able to afford a place like that. And then I think to myself, I wouldn't really want a place like that. I mean, if I was going to spend the amount of money it takes to live in something like that, I'd want to have a sizable chunk of land and no neighbors with adjacent walls. I dig the architecture there. That's another newer one. Now I'm on 6th Street. I don't think I have walked through this neighborhood since these were built. It's kind of funny how they've built it to look like old architecture and separate buildings. A different color brick. When in actuality, that's all one building that was built at once. Judging from the open space and the mailboxes, it's all even if the condos are individually owned, the actual property is owned by an HOA and somebody else. It's kind of interesting how they've tried to mimic the old separate urban houses up against each other, make them look like those are separate buildings, even though they're clearly not. None of this was here the last time I walked down this piece of 6th Street. And this is what it looks like where people drive through them. They don't look so much like separate buildings on this side, huh? Just big open garage doors. Nobody really walks, everybody just goes in their garages. And surely they have doors inside the garages that lead into the units. I do like the patio. I like the patio in the corner unit there a lot. I think this is Farmer Street. Oh, no, Wilson Street. All these high-rises have been built since the last time I went through this part of Tempe. I just don't get to Tempe very much anymore, and I hardly ever walk. Oh, we got a leaf blower. God, I hate leaf blowers. Nobody uses brooms anymore. There's an older style, an older Tempe apartment building. It's kind of neat to see some of the old original ones still here. Here's one of the old houses. This used to be mostly single-family homes in this neighborhood. And there were modest little houses like that. And like that. Not too many of them left here anymore. With everything being replaced by these pricey condos. That one looks like it was recently renovated. That's pretty nice. That one right next to it and looks to be kind of in rough shape. And I'm sure whoever owns it is renting it out and getting obscenely large amount of money in rent for it for someone who just wants it for location and is just waiting for the right developer to offer them enough money so they can build something like that there. This is Farmer. So I've talked many times about the Phoenix grid system, how the whole Phoenix area is on a square mile grid, and interestingly enough, Farmer is actually the grid street. This is kind of neat. Hollow. Torchbearer of Knowledge. I wonder what the hell this is. Kind of public art fixture, whatever. Balls. More balls. I do like the decorative sidewalk and the bike rack. Of course, there's no bikes on the bike rack. And I would imagine the reason for no bikes on the bike rack is I do believe Tempe is #1 in the nation for bicycle thefts. At least it used to be. It's a nice pool that the public is shielded out of. Some kind of a chair for the handicapped people to get in and out of the pool. That's nifty. One of my most epic mental breakdowns right here in this area. So I've got a homeless person in the shopping cart full of crap. Good times. I've definitely improved this walkway since I've been through here. It didn't used to be a proper walkway here. Although it's textured, I don't think it'd feel nice on a bicycle. Which is probably done deliberately to keep it more pedestrian, more for walkers and less for bikes. The bikes on the bike lane over there on Ash. I had this really crazy mental breakdown where I was walking on the tracks and I could just feel this weird electricity connecting between me and these power lines and the tracks. And it's so hard when I'm having breakdowns like that to separate reality from illusion, but I felt like I was making something happen and somehow channeling the electricity from the power lines through myself through to the railroad tracks, and I feel like I was, by doing it, I was making these crossing guards go down, and the police came out and basically walked me away from the tracks and told me I couldn't be doing that. And as I remember it, and mind you, that might not have been what happened because I was having an extreme schizophrenic episode. Wow, look how much these old street signs have faded. I remember when those were put in new and they were so pretty and blue. Education at Work. That used to be a nightclub. I think it was called the Bash on Ash. I actually saw Gene Loves Jezebel play there. There's some pretty other awesome concerts back when it was a nightclub. Anyway, yeah, when I had that episode, as I recall, when the police came out, and they didn't arrest me, they just told me I needed to leave downtown. In fact, I think they gave me a ride to the other side of the river on Mill Avenue. Oh, electric. Oh no, electric scooter. That was a privately owned one. But I remember the cops wearing like thick rubber gloves, like they couldn't touch me without, as if they couldn't touch me without getting electrocuted, without being protected by these thick rubber gloves. Now, I've always wanted to see if I could look up the police report from that incident, just to see what really happened, or at least what their version of the story was. And Yeah, never got around to doing that. That was definitely one of the most bizarre mental breakdown episodes I ever had. I remember all the music everywhere being in sync and being different. And I felt like there was some kind of higher power, you know, God or whatever, communicating to me through it. It was a really intense experience. God, I haven't thought about this stuff in a long time. Just cutting through the tracks there, just kind of brought it all back. Yeah, Sunbar, that used to be Trail's Head Shop, if I remember right. Oh, what I was trying to say about the what you call it, the spin scooters. They didn't post, so they expanded their coverage area in Phoenix, and then they've got their coverage area in Tempe and Scottsdale, which is connected. But for some screwy reason, there's about a half-mile gap, maybe three-quarter-mile gap between the Scottsdale Tempe coverage and the Phoenix coverage, where it doesn't connect, which kind of sucks. And I don't remember exactly where that gap is, but I do see a spin scooter right there across the street. No, I don't see it because the car's getting in the way. Right over there, spin, that'd be the orange one. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. It's the post office. Post office has stayed the same over all these years. I do appreciate that. What's on this corner now? Varsity Lounge, and what the hell is this on the bottom level? Rodeo? Rodeo. Remember that used to be the Owl's Nest on the top floor. It was one of my favorite places to sing karaoke in the 90s. And on the bottom floor, which in what is now Rodeo Saloon, that's the first time I've ever been here, it's been called Rodeo Saloon. That actually, when that building was renovated to look kind of like how it looks now, that corner was a McDonald's. The Valley Art Theater right there, which has been closed for years, but still owned and operated by Dan Harkins and Harkins Theaters. I actually met and hung out with Dan Harkins a couple of times when he's shown up to my karaoke shows. I forget what that place on the left used to be. I do remember once upon a time it used to be a bar, and a friend of mine named Rick hosted karaoke there. And now it's Mesquite Fresh Street Mix, which is the same people that own Speedy Street Tacos over where I like to go over on 40th Street and 40th Street in Washington. So I imagine the food's probably identical there. I'm next to so many good food places and I'm not hungry at all. Alright, let's do a little jaywalking. Fancy ass car right there. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's fancy.